Hello everyone, my name is Liam Piper. I am a Twitch streamer over at twitch.tv/Liam Piper, and I'm also a retro speedrunner. I speedrun Super Mario World and Star Fox 2. I recently found the SNES podcast, and boy, it was a good decision. The two hosts, Greg and George, really bounce well off of each other. They've got very good chemistry. The game reviews they do go into such deep detail, and they cover pretty much every single aspect of the game that they review. I highly recommend the SNES podcast to anyone who is a fan of retro video games.
At $200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king! Only for Super NES.
You're listening to the SNES podcast with your hosts, Soul Blazer and George.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Super NES podcast. This is episode number 70 for your listening pleasure. I am one of your regular hosts, Greg, joined by our other regular host, George.
Boy, did you listen to that Mario Paint episode? Those songs? Oh, man.
Yes, as usual, George did some excellent editing work, which we very much appreciate.
Oh, thank you.
And as promised, we're joined here today by another special guest host for his, I believe, 5th time on the podcast.
Really? 5-timer, yeah!
Yep. Yeah. The one, the only, the amazing Ferg.
Oh, thank you. Hi.
Is there only one?
As far as I know, there's only one. It's copyrighted.
Okay.
I'm the irregular host.
He's copyrighted? Ferg is copyrighted.
I am. Ferg TM.
Okay.
Well, you probably been using that
you're Ferg
nickname.
TM.
Well, I'm pretty sure Ferg's been using that nickname for his whole life, because just kind of, because one of those things, just common sense, kind of like nicknames, it gets slapped onto somebody.
2nd grade.
2nd grade.
Yep.
I figured as such.
That's a pretty long time.
It is.
You're doing hard time.
Well, good thing he likes it, because otherwise, it's kind of late for that now.
Yeah. I just, as I always say, my joke is that I'm just glad I wasn't in high school when the SNL Celebrity Jeopardy sketch was on, and shoot, what's his name? The comedian.
Oh, I know the one you're talking
yeah,
about.
Burt Reynolds, Turd Ferguson.
Yeah,
I never would have heard
Oh,
the end of that.
yes. Okay. Yes, I've heard of this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. It's a pretty good skit.
Yeah, it's very funny.
But anyway, as I said, once again, we were very honored to have Ferg here. So how are you doing today, Ferg?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Ferg's the one who picked the games that we're covering this podcast.
All my fault.
Well, we still want to do Legend of Zelda with him at some point.
Yes.
But that requires him to actually find time to sit down and play the game again.
Exactly.
That's going to be a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And George has never played it. Shock.
Oh,
So,
wow. That'll be an enjoyable
how anybody has
experience.
gotten to this point and not played that's beyond me, but...
Well, there's a lot of games like that for me, so... Like Mega Man.
Yeah.
I've never played a Mega Man game, unfortunately.
You're not missing much.
Yeah, that's in your opinion.
I played the first one, I was like, yeah, it looks cool, but nope, not for me.
Yeah, the second and third games are much better, but...
That's what they always say.
But anyway...
No, you're playing the wrong game.
Yeah. You looked at Mega Man 1 box art and says, nope.
Well, 2's not any better.
No. I'm sorry, Greg. I keep interrupting. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. But I'm just saying, we will be covering Mega Man 7 at some point, but this is not the podcast for that.
No.
No, Ferg wanted to pick something kind of different and different entertaining I like this podcast. So we are doing the board game conversions.
Yes.
Board game. Okay, I got it.
No, you were right the first time.
Well, I don't think so, but it depends upon how much you actually like. But it depends upon how much you actually like the games.
Yeah.
The games themselves, because there are 3 games ported to Super NES during its lifetime: Monopoly, Clue, and Battleship.
Super Battleship.
Super Battleship,
It's-
yes, because that
it's-
one actually has enhanced mode, which we'll
Yes.
talk about later on.
Yeah.
But
Superpower.
So, Ferg, what made you want to cover these 3 games?
I had them.
Okay,
That's
two
all.
of the games. Well, 2 of the games.
Two of them, yeah. No, I thought that was it. I was surprised that there weren't that many more. I thought there were more, but you guys covered the Mahjong games, which, well, I guess they're not really board games per se, but
Yeah,
Boy,
not
they really
but-
bored me.
But I had them when I first got the Super Nintendo. I think Sarah got them for me for Christmas that year. I had Monopoly for the NES, and I love Monopoly for the NES, and I played it quite a bit.
Yep.
And I was playing Monopoly before, and Sarah was saying, "Yeah, I hated when you play Monopoly NES version at the house because there's that noise over and over again, and she couldn't take it." So,
So I take it that she does not play Monopoly or Clue with you.
she
then.
does not like. She likes Clue. She doesn't like Monopoly.
What?
Nobody likes Monopoly that I know.
That's very
Sacrilege.
surprising.
Yeah, that's why I have
Sacrilege.
I'm trying to get Monopoly for every system that I own. So I can-
Well, too bad you don't have the modern system, because the modern versions of Monopoly are very good, actually.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still making video game versions of Monopoly to
And they're
this
still
day.
selling very well,
Yeah.
too, yes.
It's so weird.
Mhm.
But, Monopoly for the 360 is like 8-player, like online version, and it's nuts.
Oh wow,
Oh.
that sounds cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it gets very cutthroat, but
Yep, that's Monopoly, alright.
what about your early history playing these games? Did you have these 3 games as a kid? Did you play them with your family?
We have Monopoly. My family didn't play it that much. I used to play it with my friends, Pam, Kenny, and Jessica. We used to play 4 of us, and cheating and using free parking to put the money in the middle. Did you guys do that?
We always use that rule.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
So that
Yep,
was
same here too.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Clue, we didn't play as much. There was a game we played called Who Done It. I think that was
I've heard that game. Yep.
I think it was a Pressman game. I can't remember. But every time
There were a lot of clones to
Yeah.
Clue because of
Yeah, that sounds like
popularity,
a complete knockoff.
it was.
Who,
It pretty
who
much
did
was.
this murder?
Yeah.
Who did this murder?
But we played. Sarah and I would play Clue with the kids. There was like I can't remember what my nieces and nephews. They I can't remember what brand it was. It was some cartoon show or something that rebranded Clue when we played with them, and they liked.
I know
it.
there's
yeah,
a Simpsons version.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, there are like dozens of Monopoly,
Yeah.
like Monopoly and Clue versions out there.
Yeah.
So, but
Right.
And
Yeah.
Battleship, I had the set when I was a kid, and my grandfather and
Yeah.
I used to play Battleship whenever they came
Yeah.
over for holidays and stuff. So I always look forward to
I
that.
told the story before, like on the Toy
Sounds
Tune
great.
podcast. But I had Electronic Battleship as a kid, and that's a great version.
Oh, that's right.
But-
Yeah. I always wanted that.
Yeah.
I never had. I remember the commercial. I always wanted it.
Yeah, that's a great version of the game, but because there's no cheating in that one because the computer decides.
Yeah.
Because you either program in a map that the game already had installed, or you just take a minute and just program the ships yourself. On just pushing that big red fire button, and hearing that whine of the missile going through the air, waiting to see if it's going to hit or not. It's just like a great feeling.
Yeah, that was.
But the best part about Battleship is lying.
Oh, my PT boat was actually over here, not there.
You just move the piece. Like, no, that's a miss, and you move the boat to the other side.
There's also handheld versions. Yeah. I mean, there were handheld versions of Monopoly, and Battleship. There's also car versions of all 3 games.
Oh, the travel
Designed
ones.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah, the travel ones. That look pretty good, despite the, it's pretty impressive they were able to get the games distilled down to those like basic versions.
They're like aren't they magnetic or something? So stuff doesn't move around. Okay.
Yeah, they're magnetic pieces.
I would hope so. I mean, could you imagine going over a speed bump and your game's ruined?
But George, how about you? What's your history like of these 3 games?
I played them before. I mean, like, how could you not own a copy of Monopoly? Like, I don't care how old you are, you have to have a copy of Monopoly, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Super Mario Monopoly or whatever Monopoly, you know?
Yeah.
You have to have a version of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously played it. Played a little bit of it, but Clue was like the biggest one that, like, although we had it and we played it a little bit, you know, it just like was not played as much as the other 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Battleship we played quite a bit as well. I liked playing that.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I did lie. So yeah.
Did you have any history or exposure to the Super NES versions like these games before, George?
No.
Okay, yeah. I'd played all 3 of these briefly back when they came out. I never owned any of them, but I thought that all 3 versions, well, like we'll get into it. But yeah, I have a little bit of history of all 3 versions. So I figured that we'll cover Monopoly first and then go to Clue, like in Battleship. Because Battleship has the most to talk about, because Battleship actually has an expanded version of the game available on the cart compared to like the besides just being a straight port of the game. So it's probably the most to talk about, like that, like one game.
Really?
But, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're going to be doing most of the talking on that one.
Well, it seems like I don't mean this. I don't mean this like as a fault or anything. It's just that I think that whoever does the research for the podcast tends to end up doing most of the talking anyway because they get the notes in front of them.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
I have some notes.
Well, George. Like that way on the. Like that way, like in the PlayStation podcast. I think you do most of the talking in that podcast. So
yeah, the thing is, the notes on the PlayStation podcast are just like release date, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
like
I try to do is what I try to do is
notes.
like some like in-depth research in that. But there's not really too much to say as far as background like these games though. I mean, like, I'm assuming 99.99% of the people listening to the podcast know what these 3 board games are.
Yeah.
I will go into them very, very, very quickly, just in case, because I know Monopoly and Battleship are worldwide games. I don't know how how popular Clue is outside North America and Europe. So
yeah, that's true.
There may be a little bit but and we do have worldwide listeners on here. So I'll spend a real quick abbreviated Cliff Note version of 3 games. But but just to go into the history like these games like a little bit. These games were not tried on consoles before the 8-bit generation because unlike computers, the pre-crash consoles just didn't have the memory or the size to really accommodate these games and do them justice. Because it's like, even though like you can argue that Clue and Battleship are pretty simple games, but it's like those systems just didn't have the RAM space, like the hardware available to really be able to pull them off well.
Right.
Because like, like for example, Ferg, you recently covered Glib, like in your Toys Center podcast.
Yes.
They made a game. That game sort of kind of like Scrabble because they couldn't port Scrabble like 2600.
Right.
So they tried doing the next best thing.
Yep.
But so unlike computers, computers were, even back in the 70s, were much more powerful than the consoles were. So that's why starting in the late 70s, you started to have like freeware versions of Monopoly and Battleship show up in those systems. Like they're very popular. The one attempt that was made on a pre-crash system to port over a board game was Parker Brothers announced Risk for both the 5200 and for the Atari 8-bits.
Wow.
But both those games never came out. They only got to the prototype stage. So curiously enough, Risk did not come out in the Super NES. There is there's a Genesis version of the game, but it never got ported over to Super NES.
Oh, I thought there was.
And-
Duh, I would have seen it. I did look that up, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So-
I tried to find out why, and I couldn't find out. I'm guessing probably the system could have handled it for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the programmer assigned to the task got fired or couldn't pull off the conversion or whatnot. But yeah, that was curious. So if you
You're
want to
gonna
play
hate
Risk,
me for this question, but is there Stratego on the SNES?
no, that
Oh.
came out on the PlayStation.
Oh, all right. Well, then we have to cover it.
Yeah, I never had that game. I do remember playing it also as a kid, and that's a pretty good game too. So,
It
but
is.
yeah, so Risk in Genesis is like Battleship. It's available in both an original and like enhanced mode. So, from what little I played of it, it seems like pretty good. So, so anyway, finally with the 8-bit systems, you finally started to have hardware that's powerful enough and card size is big enough to really be able to pull over these games and really do them justice. And a company called Sculpture Software got the license from Parker Brothers to handle all the. They did all the conversions of all the of our Parker Brothers board games during the 8-bit and 16-bit days. Ferg mentioned how good the NES port of Monopoly is, and I definitely agree with that because it was all done. And it's because it's done by the same company.
Yep.
Sculpture Software handled all the versions of these games back then. They did the NES, the Master System, the Super NES, the Genesis, the Game Boy, the Game Gear, and other systems. A little bit about Sculpture Software. They were quite big for a while. Their bread and butter work was doing like conversion work, which they're very good at. American company, founded back in 1984, was acquired by Acclaim in 1999, shut down by Acclaim 2002 due to their financial problems.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah, I do too because they were a good company. They really did a lot of very good conversion work and and we'll get into it. But I think I think all three of these games were converted very, very well. They knew what they were doing by this point as far as the actual conversion. To conversion of the board games was, but I had Monopoly for the NES as well, and that's a very good port. And the Master System version, George, I think also is almost as good. I think that's also like a very, very good port of Monopoly.
Oh, you mean Monopoly?
Yeah.
It's weird. I think there's like two different versions just because of the label change.
Yeah.
They
I
turned it
didn't know
into
about that.
Monopoly.
Huh, okay.
It's weird.
Huh.
Yeah, I own it. I haven't played too much, but what I've seen is like, yep, it's Monopoly. It works. It's good.
So anyway, let's cover these three games in order. We'll start with the heavy hitter, probably the most famous board game in the world, which is Monopoly. The original game itself dates all the way back in 1903. When it
Sounds
was
about right.
it was created by some people who were trying to, as the name implies, they were trying to make a statement. They were trying to do some social agenda work by basically just saying how much of the how much the economy and industry in your life was being taken over by big corporations and whatnot, which is kind of true back in those days.
It's so weird because if you think of it, that game around that time is just like something somebody would make in a video game now, where it's like a social commentary on something that's going on.
Well, there was Anti-Monopoly. Did you guys ever play that?
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Yeah. That was definitely a commentary game. But
What is that?
it's Ferg, feel free to jump in also on
I
this.
can't remember now.
It dates back to the 70s. It's a game where it's it plays similar to Monopoly, but your idea is, behind the game is you're trying to actually bust monopolies. You're trying to by landing on spaces, you pick up indictments against them, which are tokens. And when you have enough indictments against a group, you get to bust it, and you get the points for it. So and there's there's still cards in the game, which random actions for good or bad. Parker Brothers actually sued the guy over the game, and that case dragged on in court for a while, but eventually they settled, and the game's still being made today. Parker Brothers has the rights to it now, so they're still publishing the game themselves.
They are?
Yep.
Oh, I had no idea.
That sounds That sounds like a really good premise for like a multiplayer online game. Like
Yeah,
you guys
it's never
are
been
gonna
done in
try
a
to
video
build
game.
up monopolies, and we're gonna try to take them down.
Yeah, it does actually. Actually, that's never been done. Yeah. Anti-Monopoly is kind of a. I mean, it's popular. There are a lot of folks I've played, but there are a lot of folks I've talked to who have played it. But it's kind of like under the radar. But
Wow.
but anyway, that version of the game never did. I never did very well because probably because of the heavy-handedness of it. But the version of the game that we know today was first originally published back in 1935.
Right.
Parker Brothers today is owned by Hasbro, one of the two biggest toy and video game companies like in the world.
You could say they almost have a monopoly.
They would, except for the fact that except for Mattel is right up there with them.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
They're making wrestling action figures.
Yep.
They're in the big market.
Yep. And still based here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So they're still like a local company. So
Oh, nice.
Yep. So, but
Awesome.
so anyway, so I'm not. So because Monopoly's so popular, I'm not really going to talk about how the game's played. Like you know how to play Monopoly.
Yeah, yeah.
You get money, you buy land, you try to screw other people over and win.
Right.
That's right.
So there are literally hundreds of computers and consoles that this game's been made for, either officially or like unofficial, like fan made version. Because I remember playing a C64 version of the game as a kid. That was like a fan made version that played almost like the real thing.
Yeah.
Just like legally, the first version of the game came out in 1985, like with the BBC Micro, the Amstrad, and the Spectrum computers.
Oh, okay.
And like we mentioned before, the game's still being made today. You can still get the game for the PS4, for like the Xbox One, like your mobile phones.
Yep.
I have it on my iPod
And,
Classic.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So, anyway, this version of the game is very, very similar looking feel to the NES and Master System versions.
Yeah.
There's really not too much added to this version, I thought, which is fine because it's a case of like it being broke, don't fix it. The board shows up as one. The board shows up the board shows up entirely on the screen, which is nice. So there's it says like no scrolling involved. When you move your token, it switches to a side view, a version of your piece jauntily going down the side.
Let's talk about that in a minute. That
Sure.
drives me insane.
Really?
Because it's so slow, and you can't press
Oh,
the
you
button.
can change the speed.
How?
There's options when it's your turn. You can change the speed.
You can.
Yes.
Okay, now I remember. How do you do that? I
Ferg's been
forgot.
sitting there for an hour.
I knew it
just
back then,
watching
but
the
I
animations.
read the damn directions too, and I can't remember.
There's like a
Well-
there's like a menu button.
Then you hold down the
push when
button
it's
or
your
something,
turn,
right?
and then
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
something, and then it
There are a
brings
lot
up
of
an
options in the
when you-
game, and a lot of them are hidden, so I can't blame you for not knowing that.
Yeah.
Because you can really fine-tune the heck out of this game.
I mean, I found it because I was like, wow, these animations are so slow. How do I change
Yes.
this?
'Cause in the NES version, it's real fast, and it doesn't go to a side view. I mean, the animations are nice, but I would rather just
Well,
have
maybe
I think
the
they did
NES
that-
version's better.
Well, I think they threw the animations into this version of the game because they're trying to show off some of the graphical power.
Yeah.
Well, they would have used Mode 7 if they wanted to do that.
Well, it doesn't use Mode 7, but I'm just saying they're like I said before, this version of the game is very, very close to the NES port, and I think Spectrum Software is just like, we need something to entice people to buy this version of the game. What can we do to it? So throwing the animations, it was like one of the things that they could do. But
I think they might have sacrificed some of the music though, because I don't think there's as much music in this one
There's
as there is in
no
the
music during
Nintendo.
gameplay.
There's
Yeah.
and there's
There's-
some themes, like the cards definitely have some themes, but usually if
Right.
you
Yeah.
land on jail, if you just land on jail, there's a theme song for that. And
Right,
It's-
but when
it's-
you're scrolling through the board there, like there is no music. It is silent.
it's the same when you're.
Oh, this is terrible.
You mean like when you're looking through, like if you're trading or something? Is that what you mean?
Well, that too, but like when you're moving your piece and everything, it's just silent.
Yeah.
It's just wow.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, that is strange. But on the plus side, I think this version of the game has I think this version of the game has much better like AI. The computer plays the main game of Monopoly. It is absolutely ruthless. Ruthless against you.
And I'm not very good at Monopoly to start off with.
Oh,
so-
I think it depends on the person you pick, though, doesn't it?
Does
It does. There are difficulty settings.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh
very
man,
nice.
I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Yeah, each
Yeah,
person has
like-
some kind of weakness and some kind of strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot more options present in this version of the game than there is in the 8-bits. which I
Oh,
also
definitely.
like.
Yeah, you can. There's
Yeah.
all the presets, like you said, Greg. There's just different ways you
Yeah.
can distribute the properties
Yeah.
and stuff. And
Yep.
yeah,
You can have house rules on or off, so you can you customize the house rules that you want to.
yeah.
I prefer pool rules.
Pool rules.
Sorry, that
no
was
splashing
terrible.
on the board.
Welcome to our ool. Notice
Yeah.
that there's no P in it.
So yeah, the graphics of the game are not great, but they're good for what they are. I mean, like everything looks very crisp and clear. Colors are good. So it definitely looks it looks like a very pretty version of the game for sure.
Have you guys ever tried? I did this back in the '90s. I tried it again today. Setting up a bunch of computer players and just watching.
Yes, I've done that.
Yeah,
do not do that.
Yeah.
that's always fun.
Yeah.
You must, I don't know why I don't know why I would do that. That's like something you would do if you were just completely bored and had nothing to do. No offense.
No, I was just wanting to see how it worked because I used to do it with the NES game because I like the music. So
Oh, okay.
up until recently, the music wasn't ripped from the game. So
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why there's less music in this version of the game. I'm
It's-
thinking maybe copyright reasons, maybe, or
I
maybe
don't know.
like, or maybe they wanted to. They definitely. I think there's more of an effort in this version of the game to make it more multiplayer. So I guess maybe they kind of figured that people were going to be playing together and talking back and forth. They didn't want the music to be booming over in the background and
yeah,
interrupting them.
that makes sense.
How loud do you set your TV when you play games, Greg?
I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Well,
I think it's a good point. Yeah.
You're just saying that.
Well, like I said, there's very little information. Well, like I said, unfortunately, there's very little information available online about these games. So I'm kind of making educated guesses on most of this stuff.
There is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to recommend this version of the game over another version because all the versions I think all versions of this game are very good. I mean, I really don't think it's a bad version of Monopoly out there as far as the video game versions go. I think this one ranks up. I think this one ranks up there very well. If you want a game that has a lot of options, if you want a game that has good multiplayer options, I think this version is probably the best one to play. But if you just want a fun solo game, I think maybe the NES version or the Master System version may be the way to go.
Yeah.
Or maybe the newer versions.
Or maybe the newer versions, yeah, if you want to. I mean, those versions of the game are very good for party options. We bought it. We bought the newer version of the game, Here and Now, recently. Have you guys played that version?
Which one is that?
Here and Now came out about 10 years ago. It's a updated version of the game. In that they updated the prices to current prices, as opposed to what it was originally back in the 30s. And also, all the board pieces are all the board spaces are changed because they had a contest. And so people wrote in for what they wanted, their favorite locations, and the top locations made in the contest. So, for example, instead of Boardwalk Park Place being the two most expensive spots on the board, in this version of the game, it's the White House and Fenway Park.
You could buy the White House?
You could buy the White House.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man.
So,
We have the one with the credit cards.
oh, I remember that version. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't around very long either. That was a flop.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they're not making that version anymore. That was a short-lived version.
Because that teaches you when you're young enough, hey,
Yep.
just swipe
Yeah.
this card,
Yep.
ching ching,
So you
spend
have
that money.
no idea how much money
Yeah.
you're spending.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So yeah, I actually like Here and Now a lot because it's fun because it's fun playing the game with modern prices because you're like holy Christ, $500,000 like this property, damn.
Oh, that's chump change.
well, yeah, in that version of the game it is, but so yeah, modern versions of the game, modern versions of the game are either that version of the game or like a Here and Now, but they So Ferg, you have a lot of experience with the NES version as well as this version of the game. If you were forced to pick one version of the game, which one would you go with?
I would go with the NES version.
Because of the music?
The music, and that's the one I played the most. I think I was kind of disappointed actually when I got the SNES version because there wasn't as much music in it.
Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah. But going back to what you said before, I guess I'm a Monopoly purist. I like the old stuff better. I don't want any updated prices. I don't want this friggin' rubber duck they're putting on us now.
Wait, what? Rubber duck?
Rubber duck.
Oh, I forgot about that. Like Here and Now
Godzilla.
also has updated tokens. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they got.
I actually really prefer the original.
I like the tokens in Here and Now because of the flavors are actual things that people actually use these days as opposed to what the original tokens were. But
you tell me you don't use a car now?
Not a
that's the
roadster.
only thing in there I still use.
Got him. Got him.
But yeah, there's for example, I think actually, it's been a while since I played that version of the game because my parents have it, so I only play it once a year with them. But I think but there's a game console as one of the token pieces.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. So.
Oh dear.
And there's also a phone. So.
A phone?
Yeah, like a computer. Yeah.
Like a rotary phone?
No, a cell phone.
A what phone?
A cell phone.
What's that?
What you have in your pocket right now, probably.
Actually, it's on my desk.
Even Ferk has a cell phone now.
I do, yeah.
Oh, whoa. Watch out, world.
So, George, had you ever played a video game version of Monopoly in the past, or was this your first time actually playing one?
We actually had Monopoly for the computer, I want to say.
PC? Just a generic... So, a generic Monopoly version? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But, what do you think about this version of the game as far as, vis-a-vis, a version of the board game?
It works. Everything that you need is in there, and it works fine, and it's not too difficult to find everything. To be honest, and I know it's gonna be weird coming from me, but I would really prefer to actually just play the physical board game compared to this.
Yeah, that's something I was gonna bring up toward the end because
it does everything that it needs to do.
Yeah,
and it looks good too.
Yeah, because Ferg's had this debate on in this podcast in the past because of all the all the card and family game conversions that was done in the systems back then, chess and checkers and backgammon and that kind of stuff. It's is there a point of playing the video game versions of this game as opposed to playing the physical board version?
There's a lot of positives and negatives. Do we want to get into this?
Yeah,
because
you
first off,
let's go for it.
Yeah, first off, if you're talking about more modern versions, you can play remotely with friends. You don't have to be all in the same place.
Yeah,
to play
Monopoly Party. Party. Sports 8 people online is a blast. So.
On top of that, board games are very, you could lose the pieces. Very prone to that that kind of thing, and that happens with us.
And Monopoly is a lot of pieces.
Yeah, if you're missing just 120, that's it. Game over.
Well, that's not. Losing some of the cash is okay, but
see, that really bothers me though, because it's just do I have everything? I need to have everything. So, yeah.
But let me just throw in a couple observations here. Definitely remote play is definitely a big plus because you don't need to have everybody present with you play this game. You'd be hey, let's do this game. Hey,
you're in England and I'm in the United States. We can play a board game now.
Yeah.
Also all the extra options and features available to you in this version of the video game, I feel like it's pretty cool because, like I said before, there's scenarios that you can have in the game. It's like you can set up a predefined scenario and be like, okay, what do we do if this happens, and just like go from there. So, something else I think is a plus is the fact that I think this version of the game, if you tweak the options, I think this version of the game goes faster than a regular version of the game if you're like physically playing it.
Oh yeah.
But so there is that like speed boost to it. I like to what I think. So
keeping inventory is much easier
right
in game than it is in real life.
Yeah, solo play, big plus, because like you can play against the AI.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't just build robots to play Monopoly with you in real life.
Yeah, exactly. So
although now I see that as being like an Onion headline: man builds robot to play Monopoly with.
Well, they already have that. Well, yeah. They already have like Watson to play Jeopardy, and like what's the name of the current computer that's a chess champion? So
Deep
it's like
Blue, is it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's already happening. So it's coming.
Soon enough, you'll be able to play Monopoly with your robot friends because you have no friends.
Yeah, and the last plus I can see for the video game version of the game is I think it'd be a bit easier to teach a kid how to play this game in the video game version because there's less. Because you're not having to hassle with pieces, you're having to hassle with trying to explain everything to them as much because the AI handles some of the things for you.
Yeah.
So it lets you focus upon telling them how to play the game, without having to worry about all the minutia that goes behind it because the AI's taking care of all that for you.
I mean, I feel like it might be an important lesson to a child, though. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, sure. So
yeah.
I mean, and so negatives. You already mentioned the negatives, about this. The negatives. The negatives, as far as the video game version goes, because if you're physically together with 3-4 people, it's there's really. There's really no point in doing this version of the game.
I mean, this is supposed to be. They're supposed to be social games.
Exactly.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, I'm guessing that there's this music in this version of the game because they wanted to try to encourage more of a party / social atmosphere behind it.
Yeah.
Ferg, do you have anything to contribute to this debate?
The reason I like these games is because nobody else wants to play Monopoly with me. So this is how I have to get my Monopoly kicks. So I think I played the NES version twice when I did my extra live stream last year.
You never asked me to play Monopoly with you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. George and I would be happy to play with you one night. So, but I just have to step up a game night.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think the NES version of the game is very, very good. I think the Super NES version of the game is a little bit better in a couple areas, but it's really kind of because the company handled all these ports and because they use the same engine, it's really hard to say one's better than another. I think.
Yeah.
It's very, very close. I think this version of the game wins out because of the extra features and because I think the AI is a bit tougher in this version of the game, but it does have its drawbacks too.
I don't think we mentioned who did it. It's on the title screen. It says John Endicott Emerson was the one. I don't know if he programmed it or designed it.
I saw that and I could not find anything about it online. I'm guessing its name. It's either the name of the programmer at Sculpture Software who handled this version of the game, or it could be a company that Sculpture Software sub-licensed the particular Super NES port of the game out to.
Well, I went a little deeper, and I found out that there's a John Emerson who designed the G.I. Joe Cobra Strike for the 2600 Parker Brothers.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
So apparently,
he could be the programmer then.
I don't know because he worked for Parker Brothers, so I'm not sure if he designed it and then gave it to Sculptured Software to do.
Maybe he oversaw it.
Yeah, that I'm not sure about.
Could have been a producer, sure,
Yeah.
but. Because Parker Brothers had a good relationship with Sculpture Software. They handled, like I said, Sculpture handled all their board game conversions for a long time,
Yeah.
from about 85 to about to about 95 before somebody else got the rights for the 32-bit systems.
Yeah,
So,
when you have that kind of relationship, I would see the two companies working together like that.
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's more. It's got to be more than a coincidence that it's John Emerson and
Right.
John Endicott Emerson. So
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
they're two different people with the same name.
maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
He
to
actually
covering that
cloned
game.
himself.
Yeah, G.I. Joe, that brings back memories. I was a big G.I. Joe fan as a kid.
That's a great
but
game too. I love that game.
Cobra Strike's pretty good,
Yeah.
yes.
I never played it.
But there's a little bit off topic. Did you guys know there's two G.I. Joe games that's out for the NES?
No.
I did not know that.
Yep, one's pretty good and one's average at best. So, but yeah, it's strange how it worked out. Capcom did one version of the game and Texan did the other version.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
But anyway, yeah, so yeah, like I said, I think I played almost every console or computer version of the game over the years, partly partly out of curiosity and partly just because I really love this game, and there's really not been a bad version of the game. Even the Game Boy version of the game is very playable. So,
And the game com is actually good too.
Wait, there's a version on the game com?
yes, there is. I've read about that.
I might have to go get it now.
I did have it when I had the game com, and I did play it.
I actually
They
own a
made-
game com.
Do you?
That
So-
version of the game, I've
Yeah,
seen that
too.
version of the game in a video. It looks fine. The main drawbacks to it is just the game.com drawbacks. It's blurry. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to really be able to see everything.
Isn't it in black and white too?
In black and white,
Yeah.
it's a monochrome game.
Yeah.
There's a few
no color.
But-
colors that you have to have.
But the Game Boy version's the Game Boy version's monochrome. That's fine. It pulls off just great.
Oh, okay,
but,
that's true. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Sculptor did not do the game.com version.
No.
They're like, no, we're not touching this piece of turd. No, thank you.
Well then.
Also
Man.
had Scrabble.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yes, it did have
Well,
Scrabble.
That
Yep,
one's
I've
a
read
lot
about
easier
that.
to transfer to black and white screen.
Yeah.
It's just letters, so.
Right.
So there's no cheats or codes or anything else available like this game. But and if you want to pick it up on eBay, it's pretty cheap. 136 copies currently listed, with 122 copies currently sold. Card only can run you anywhere from shipping included from $3.25 to $20.50. CIB is $16 to $30. So
Wow.
not bad, pretty good pricing.
Hmm.
I definitely can see this game being like $3.25. That's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah, very good version of the game. Probably one of my favorite versions of the game. I think because oh, one last little thing I appreciate. It's not like any of these. It's not like any of these games really require all the buttons like on the controller.
No.
But the controls are fine. They are fine. They feel okay. I mean, it's just it's pretty much a no-brainer. One button does roll the dice. One button moves the piece. It's pretty much a no controller lag or anything else like that. It's just they didn't get fancy like the controller because it really wasn't a need to.
Right.
So
Right.
I think I pretty much said everything I could think about this version of the game. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Monopoly's
game.
fun. Don't call it monotony.
Yes, it is fun.
Stop
I've
it.
never heard that one before.
So, alrighty then, moving on. We are covering Clue next.
Cluedo.
Cluedo is known in England.
Yes.
Wait, really?
The game was invented in England. So, in England, and so in England, it's still called Cluedo.
That confused the hell out of me when I first heard about it.
Yeah. You explained it to me and I'm still confused.
So, this game was first manufactured by a company called Waddington, in the UK back in 1949. The game originally came over to the States several years later. I don't know why they renamed it. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I do have something on here saying why it got renamed. They Americanized the game a little bit, and one of the things that Parker Brothers did when they got the rights to publish the game in North America was they changed the name of it slightly because they're slightly because they're like Clue sounds better, I think. But some of the players, some of the characters in the game were renamed, like the North American version, and 2 of the weapon names were also renamed. So there were a few small changes done to the game like that when it first came over to the States.
What was changed?
The names of the characters, most of their
Right, but what were the names?
Oh, I didn't have that written down.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I would just go to Wikipedia.
Yay,
Well, look at
Wikipedia.
So
We're searching the internet
Who can
to
get there
find
first?
answers.
yes. So
The chicken came first.
Oh, Reverend Mr. Green.
okay.
Miss Scarlet had 1 T instead of 2.
Right.
That's pretty much it. Oh, a dagger
Oh.
or a knife in most of North America. Spanner.
Oh, I never heard of that one
Yeah,
before.
spanner is a wrench.
Oh, okay.
In England.
Yeah.
The revolver's also different, like the North American version of the game.
Oh yeah,
Because
Colt.
in Britain. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And they also the the figurines were also changed. There's a picture here showing how they looked like in England versus like the North American counterparts. And I'm sorry they changed it because in England they look cool. They're actually physical representations of like the characters.
Yeah, I've never seen
Wait,
that.
so
That's
why
pretty
would
cool.
they change that?
It's cheaper.
cheaper to manufacture. I'm sure that's a big reason behind
That's
it.
what we're all about here is cheap.
Yep.
The name of the house it was also changed, like the North American version of the game.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah, it was called Tudor Mansion, like in England. When it first came over here in the States, like it was doing like a Body Mansion, like a Bonnie Manor.
Oh right. Oh, Dr. Black in the UK version too. He owned the mansion apparently, or he's the victim.
So yep. And in the North American version of the game, he's called
Mr. Body.
Dr.
I just saw
Dead.
here. Yep, Mr. Body. So.
Mr. Body?
Yeah, Boddy.
Oh, okay.
Right. So because I'm not sure how popular Clue is outside of North America and Europe, I would talk about the gameplay just briefly here, like a little bit.
Okay.
It's a murder mystery.
Murder mystery game. Yep, 3 to 6 players. The object of the game is to figure out who killed the title character. And when you start the game, there's 3 cards, like 3 card decks in the game. One card deck has rooms. One card deck has character names. And one card deck has objects. And at the start of the game, you randomly take one of each and put it into a like an envelope marked evidence, and put it in the center of the board. And each player, when it's their turn, moves their rows of dice and moves their piece like around the board. And you end up in a room. You can make an accusation where you're saying, I think so and so did the murder in so and so room with so and so weapon. And you say it to one person. And that person checks the cards that they have in their hand. Because because each player also starts off the game with a certain number of cards, like in the deck. And if they have one of the cards that you made the accusation with, they can show you and only you that card. So that lets you know that that's impossible. That the murder couldn't have been done like at that card.
Right.
For example, you may say, I think that Colonel Yellow did the murder in the ballroom with a knife. And if you have the knife in your hand, then you show the player your knife card, and
With the fresh blood on it.
there's also a pad that you can also use to like take notes if you want to as you play. So,
No, you have to take notes in this game.
You usually do.
Yeah, if you
I
already-
used to play with somebody like who didn't have to because his memory was so good. But
Okay, yeah.
But that's just like insane.
I don't have that problem, so.
Yeah. So because the notes are important because when you actually make your actual accusation, and you're actually saying I know who did it, then you get to look at the evidence. the card of the evidence deck, and if you get all three of them correct, you correctly win the game. But if you lose, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
But you lose automatically. So you got to be really, really sure that you know like who the actual solution is.
Yep.
It was Greg in the bathtub with the toaster.
That's right. Yeah, that is one thing about this game is that you can be the murderer.
Yes, you
Right.
can.
Yeah,
Be. Yep.
that's what I
Yeah.
like.
And you don't
so.
even know
And
it.
you don't know it, yeah.
Right. There's also like a there's also a version of the game we used to play like when I was a kid to make the game harder, because the regular version of the game you're allowed to make the accusation in any room but in the version of the game we used to play you could only make the accusation had to involve the room that you're actually physically in like that moment.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
so maybe like a longer game because you're trying to get around to the various rooms to be able to actually make the accusation correctly.
Yeah, it does take a while to get to some of the rooms. Especially only
Yes.
one die, I think. There's only one, right?
But there are secret passages.
That's true, yeah, that's true.
Yep. So that how like help you like get around. So this game's also been very popular like over the years. Like Monopoly, there's also like numerous spin-offs and a parody version of the game and whatnot.
Yeah.
We used to have a VCR version of this game like as a kid.
Yeah.
But there was actually two of them made. We only ever had the first one. With it had a board and it was a simplified version of the game, but it was still pretty fun because you actually would watch a tape and watch a part of the gameplay and then go back and watch more of it later on and whatnot. So there was a movie made based upon the board.
Oh, I love that movie.
Based upon the board game.
Yes.
That movie did not do very well when it came out. It was very expensive to make, and in keeping with the theme of the board game, there were different endings of the movie that were randomly included to various theaters.
Yes.
So, like, you never know which version of the movie that you see because the version of the movie that you might see, the ending was different than what your friend might see, like in his city.
Yeah.
Because of that. So that movie did not do very well in the box office, but it's since become a cult favorite.
That's awesome. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you got to see it,
Yeah,
George. It's funny.
Yeah, it's well worth watching. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's very good. And they have
very good cast in the movie too.
Oh yeah, they have all three endings in
Yeah.
they're on the DVD now. So
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So
very cool.
In recent years, Hasbro has standardized the game because for the longest time they were still making separate versions of the game for both England and North America, calling it Cluedo North America and Cluedo in England. But that had been but as of 2008, the game's now standard like in both countries.
Oh wow.
Is it just Clue in both countries now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So yeah, but and some of the and like Monopoly has a lot of desirable collector's editions over the years. Clue is also very well famous for that because it's been 8 versions of the game that come out in North America and 4 versions in England. And some of these versions have really fantastic artwork and pieces and whatnot. For example, the original version of the game, like in England, the lead pipe was actually made out of lead.
That's awesome.
Which is a big no-no now because lead poisoning.
Right.
It's making what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. So
and crazy.
Clue did not come out like on the 8-bit systems, but there was so the 16-bit system was the first one to actually have was the first one to actually have this game, which I understand because Clue's a little bit harder to program for, I think, than Monopoly is.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a more involved game. There's more going on. So, but they trivia note: the game is called Cluedo in England, partly because it's kind of a play on Clue and also the Latin word ludo, which means I play. So,
Oh, okay.
Clue, I
So.
play.
pretty much.
Therefore, I am.
Yeah. So this version of the game because the Game Boy's bigger than Monopoly is, they have to scroll. That is one small drawback to the version of the game, but it really can't be helped, I think, because it's like, because the Game Boy's bigger, so the game just kind of scroll around, the various players, like you're playing the game. There's graphical scenes that show up every now and then when you're in the rooms making your accusations, like and whatnot. Gameplay is a little bit slower in this game, but the gameplay is slower for the physical version of the game too, I think. So I think that's kind of reflected pretty honestly like in the Super NES version of the game. I do like the music quite a bit.
Yeah,
pretty good music, I think.
The music, there was one theme that sounded a lot like
It's
the
fitting.
theme from Perot. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. The TV
No.
show Perot. Really good. Sorry. I like it.
We didn't talk about this for Monopoly, but like this, it's the same digitized hand that rolls.
Oh
your
yeah, the
dice.
creepy hand.
Oh yeah, it is. I forgot about that.
I hate that hand.
It's so weird.
Don't need the hand. Get rid of it.
Yeah, just throw my dice. Yeah, I don't. No hands in this game.
No.
No. Oh.
So this version of the game does not have all the options and features that Monopoly has, but there are a couple options that are present in the game. So
You
it's
tell me
like,
I can't buy land in this game?
Nope.
Nope.
Man, this game's worse.
The AI for this game, I think is fine. I don't think the AI in this game is as good as Monopoly is, but there are difficulty settings like in this game as well as Monopoly has, and the AI can put up a pretty decent fight. I mean, once again, if you don't have anybody else to play this game with, the AI will put up a decent game for you.
All right.
So,
Yeah, they put up quite a fight.
And I don't think in this one
Somebody even gets murdered.
yes.
I think you can choose all computer players in this game, but I don't think you can. I don't think that they can play by themselves. I think you have to keep pushing the button. If I'm not mistaken.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, P's right. Simply just curious about that myself.
It does.
Bird-
It does
Bird
seem
would
to.
know.
It does seem to move a little bit faster than Monopoly did, but like
Really?
to me
Yeah,
it did. Yeah.
Kind of.
But I
okay.
wasn't pressing the button to get past the moving on the board in Monopoly, so I'll have to do that again.
Oh, okay.
Find out
Yeah.
for sure.
Right. Okay. But yeah. So so Ferg, what do you think about this version of the game, like opposed to the board game? I mean, like, do you think it does a pretty good job pulling it off?
I think so. I mean, I think Clue didn't the board game come with pads to take notes
It
on?
did.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It does.
When I brought the manuals to work just to look through them, and the manual for Clue was huge. And I was like, oh my god.
Yes, it is.
But it's only
Does it have
because
space
half
for
of
notes
it,
in the back?
Yeah, half of it is the pad.
Okay.
And
Right.
you could order more pads for $1.50. I don't think you can still order them now, but
Here's an idea. Buy a notebook.
yeah. But I think
Don't they also? Yeah. Doesn't the manual also include like bios, like about the players, like and everything?
yeah,
else,
it
too?
does for
Yeah.
both of the
yeah.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
no, that's
Go
fine.
ahead.
I thought this was pretty good. They had different skill levels you could play, which you can't do
Yep,
in
that's
the
always
board
nice.
game. Yeah. I don't think it's good for multiplayer because there's an element of secrecy to the game that you have to keep, and having everybody look away from the screen when it's your turn to look at a card is, I don't know, that kind of loses me.
Yeah.
But this is great
Yeah.
for one player. I really enjoyed this.
It's like playing Strategio on the computer. It's like, no, you look away. It's my turn.
Yeah.
Well, it really couldn't be helped. There really wasn't any way they could get around that.
I know, I know,
I
but
kind of understand that.
I wonder if I think there's a Game Boy version of this. I wonder if there's like a link.
There is, yeah.
If there's a link where you don't have to do that, the link
don't know.
cable or something like that.
Yeah, multiplayer with that. Yeah, that's possible. I'm not really sure if that game supports the link cable, but
But yeah, for me, it's a one-player game. it's just hard because
Because nobody else wants to play.
no. No, I think my wife bought it for me so we could play it together. At least this one, not Monopoly.
And then you have to tell her to look away.
Yeah.
Does she actually play with you though?
We did. We haven't played Super
alright.
Nintendo together in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a great one-player game. But that's the fatal flaw in this game is having to look away from the screen. And,
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, did it come with a blindfold?
No.
Like, here, you put the blindfold on, and then you give it to me, and
That'd be pretty funny,
Yeah.
actually. But
yeah, the Clue blindfold.
yeah. So, that's George. So, what about you? What's your thoughts about pulling this like version of the game off?
It's all right. It works. I mean, what else can I say? I haven't played Clue in a while, so like I would like a lot of it was just remembering what to do and also figuring out what to do playing the game. But it works. And it has all that extra stuff. It has all the extra animations and noises and tones, whatever.
Right. Yep.
That stuff. It's got the bleeps and boops. So
Yeah, graphics look very good, like in this game. I thought they did an excellent job, like recreating the board, because if you look at the board,
the board
looks
great.
Yeah, it does.
The board. Yeah. If you actually look at the physical board, the board has a lot of fine touches to it, a lot of very small, intricate, detailed artwork, and the Super NES version of the game actually reproduces all that very well. So. So I really admire the graphical touch of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Ferg. I think this game is great. The greatest single player game. It's okay multiplayer. I mean, it's just that it really can't be helped because of the just because of the nature of the game. But this version of the game definitely has more to recommend for single player as opposed to multiplayer. But the fact the game actually can be played multiplayer is nice. So I forgot to mention earlier the release dates. All these games came out around. All these games released around a short period of time, for each other. Monopoly came out in September of 1992. And Clue came out in a let's see here. Okay. Yeah, September. Oh, I actually forgot to write down Clue. I'm probably going to say 1992.
SNES podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was not a jab meant at you. I'm sorry.
I actually missed that one somehow. I have no idea how I missed that, but yeah, probably because Super Battleship. The next game covering was November 19. November 1993. So,
same
all
month.
these
September
games are older than me.
92.
Yeah. So okay. Yep. So that came out the same month as. This game came out the same time as Monopoly did.
Yep.
So, but. And like Monopoly, this game's pretty plentiful and cheap on eBay. 104 copies. Sorry, 70 copies currently listed. 67 copies. The copy recently sold. Card only can range anywhere from $3.25 to up to $9. CIB is $9 to $17.50. And a sealed copy of the game said that they actually sold recently for $64.
Wow, that's kind of high. I was surprised.
That is $64 too many.
Well, you're not a huge fan of Clue anyway, George,
No, I'm
right?
not. I'm really not.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't mind having a box copy. I didn't start saving boxes until '95. When I got the bulk of my Super Nintendo games is before that, unfortunately.
the box is fine. I mean, the box has some pretty good artwork on it, but that's really about it. I mean, it's nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Clue is a fun game to play. I think there's not been as many versions of this game done in video game format as Monopoly. This version of the game also came out of Genesis, and there is a modern PC version of the game available on Steam, a whatnot, for like there is, like I said before, there was at least a handheld the handheld version of the game also published, and there's also a mobile phone version of the game. So like it is possible to get today, but there's not as many versions of the game out there because the game wasn't as popular, which I think is a shame because, like, you know, Clue, I really have Clue's a fun game. I definitely had a lot of fun playing it. The version of the game I have now is very different than the version of the game I had as a kid because because of all the changes to it, like whatnot.
Yeah.
So anyway,
quit changing stuff.
Sorry, I can't help it.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to say about Clue?
Nope, I'm good.
Not really. Yeah.
All right then. Moving on to the last game in the series, Super Battleship,
Yay.
which was a this was actually handled by a different company, Synergetic Software, handled the port of this game, and it was actually published by Mindscape, which was a pretty big
Mindscape.
Computer and console publisher back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this version of the game also got ported over to like Genesis. Battleship itself dates back to the 1920s. It was originally a French game. Like we used to play it on pen and paper.
What was the French name?
Le Battleship.
Oh, you. No, you would ask me that.
That was very quick of you.
Sorry, World War One, like, is how the game dates back to. And Ferg's not very far off.
It's actually Les Ship of Battles.
No, it's actually like the attack.
Wow.
So, like fairly close.
Kinda, yeah. Wow.
The first commercial version of the game was published in 1931 by the U.S. by a company called StarX.
That long ago, huh? Wow.
Yep. And it was called Salvo. There were some major differences between like Salvo and the version of Battleship that we have now, but the popularity of the game grew during the 30s and 40s. There were a lot of companies published their own like clone versions of the game because it really wasn't protected by copyright, and no one version of the game was super popular. And all these versions of the game were still like paper games. It's like, you know, you bought a pre-printed pad of paper with instructions, and you just like played the game like that way.
That sounds like a rip-off.
Well, a lot of games started out that way. Axis and Allies originally started off as like a pen and paper game.
Yeah.
Before the actual board version of the game came out, but the board version of the game that we know and love today, with the plastic boards and the pegs, was introduced by Milton Bradley in 1967. And the Talking Battleship followed in 1977, Talking Battleship in 1989, and as a tie-in to the 2008, they released an updated version of the game. I never actually played this version of the game. This updated version of the game actually had islands present in it.
Really?
In which captured man figurines that could be placed. So you could only land it, you know, when you actually had to move your ships like around the island.
That's weird.
So kind of, yeah. So I never actually saw this version of the game, but and to tie in also to the movie to the movie Battleship several years ago, they also released a version of the game like themed around that. Yeah, and the less said about that movie, the better.
I haven't actually seen it, so I shouldn't say anything.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay.
So Battleship has proven to be very popular, also like over the years. there have actually been official tournaments held in the U.S. Navy, for example, every year.
Wow.
Players play Battleship against one another to see who the top person is. So, this game's also available in numerous formats. Like I said before, Super NES, Genesis it was the first console version of the game. The game had long been available on computers before that. There's a DS version of the game that's quite good. It was also included as part of the Hasbro Family Game Night game collection that was released for the PS2, the Wii, and the Xbox 360.
Oh, I think I
remember
might
that
have
thing.
that, actually.
Yeah. So.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. And you know, there's also the handheld and mobile and portable versions like of the game. So Battleship. I'm just gonna go over the rules real quick here. You basically have 5 ships. Yep. That's you have 5 ships. Your opponent has 5 ships. You place the ships down. Like down the board, which is there's a barrier up keeping the other player from seeing your ships, and you use pegs to allocate shots, missing, shots hits. And each player takes turns calling out a grid because the board's broken up into grids, and if you score a hit, then your opponent tells you a hit. If you get a miss, it's a miss, and whoever sinks the other fleet first wins. There are 5 ships present in the game, various sizes. Carrier takes 5 hits to sink. Battleship takes 4. Cruiser takes 3. Submarine takes 3. And officially, according to Milton Bradley, that last ship is actually a destroyer, like not a PT boat. So
what's up? What's up, MB?
What?
So
you calling out your homie?
Yeah. So I've caught a PT boat like all my life, but apparently officially it's a destroyer.
Yeah.
So that takes 2 hits to sink.
I think it says PT boat in the game, doesn't it?
It does. I
does.
think probably this change happened in recent years.
Okay.
But
stop changing things.
So anyway, what makes this version of the game special is there's actually 2 versions of the game that's available to play. You have 3 options available to you on the main menu when you start the game. You could play Original Battleship, you could play Super Battleship, or you can do where you can continue a game your Super Battleship in progress by entering a password. Original Battleship is just regular Battleship, like we already described it. It plays and looks just fine. It's nothing fancy with it.
No, not at all.
Yep. So
nope.
But
just Battleship.
It's kind of unfortunate in one sense because it's like it's obvious Super Battleship like it's most attention attention here went to because I think that they wanted unlike Sculpture, they wanted to actually try to spice the game up a little bit.
Right.
Well, the thing is, Battleship just does not have enough content to put on a cartridge. It feels kind of like a waste. So
yeah, I think there was a Game Boy.
I would add more to it as well.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that decision perfectly because I was going to say there's a Game Boy version of this game. It's not officially Battleship. It's It's called Radar Mission, but that version of the game also comes with 2 different versions of the game, and one version of the game plays very similar to Battleship. But they also put on a special submarine attack game where you're actually playing submarine trying to sink enemy ships. So yeah, the Game Boy version of the game is very good also.
Would you say that the person who loves the Game Boy game would have some radar love?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Battleship on here is fine. It's fine. It plays. It plays perfectly well. The AI puts up a good fight. There's no options available in it though. There's no bells and whistles. It's just regular Battleship.
It's just one player. right?
Oh yeah, that's right. It is. Yeah. You're right. It's just like one
Yeah.
player. So
And the computer
But,
is
you know-
relentless. Once it
Yeah.
seems like you have to pick all your shots before you can. You know, if you can't pick one shot at a time, but it seems like the computer says, "Oh, I got a shot. I'm gonna pick these next 2 shots right in a row."
See, the thing is, I beat the computer.
You did.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is possible to beat the computer, but you're not the only person to accuse the computer of cheating cheating this version of the game.
I mean,
saw
I think
mention that, like, online,
AI
so.
cheats in like everything. So,
Yeah, probably.
but I somehow beat it. I don't know how.
You're just that good, George.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Remember that.
I think it's just simply a case of the AI having very good logic, where it's like, you know, like it's able to calculate the odds and chances better than a human player could, because, you know, once you get a hit on a ship, there's only a certain amount. There's a percentage basically of, like, you know, what space to hit next to keep scoring hits.
Right.
And I just think the AI has a better formula for doing that than a human player does.
Yep.
So I think that accounts for some of the quote unquote cheating. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, there are better versions of regular Monopoly. I'm sorry, Monopoly. I'm doing that.
My
on this
favorite is
podcast,
Battleship Monopoly.
sorry. that would be interesting.
You sunk my boardwalk.
You know, there are better versions of Battleship out there, but, you know, as far as, like, you know, a regular version of the game, this is perfectly fine. I would not buy this game just for this game alone. But if you want to change the pace, you know, this, you know, like we said, this plays, you know, the AI plays a mean game of Battleship, so it definitely keep you challenged for a while.
Yeah, it's cheating. It always sees your ships, and you can't see it.
But Super Battleship is interesting. Super Battleship is actually kind of a campaign game where it's like, you know, you have 8 levels, like a total 16 missions, and you just basically have different missions. Different mission to play through. You control either a ship or a small fleet, and you take turns moving your ship and firing like your opponent's ships. And there's strategy involved in this game, as well as there's a regular battleship. But there's also some action sequences, because because when you actually go into combat against an enemy ship, you get to actually aim your guns and shoot and whatnot. So yeah, I enjoy this version of the game, like, quite a lot. I think it's a very interesting take on Battleship. I think the missions are pretty varied and fun. They start off, like, pretty easy and get very difficult, like, toward the end. There's a password feature, like I said before, that allows you to be able to get to continue the game like after each mission's done. And, you know, there's different weapons you can use. There's the ability to your ships can take damage. So, like, you can you know, if your radar gets damaged, for example, you can't shoot as well. If your guns get damaged, like, it affects your accuracy of your guns, etc., etc. There are options you can set, like, in the game, between the radar and sonar, which is pretty cool. So, you know, in both versions of the game, the graphics are pretty good, I thought. Super Battleship has some very nice looking sideways scrolling versions of the ships and whatnot, flaming into combat with them. So, like, you know, appropriate boom boom sounds and, like, you know,
Boom boom sounds. Okay, I'm not the only one here. Okay.
So again, the graphics in either version of the game are not fancy, but they're, but they take good. But I thought the graphics made pretty good use of the Super NES car palette, and they look fine. There's some music present in this version of the game. It's pretty good. Just typical C/battle stuff, what you might expect. So
Yeah, I like the music part.
Yeah.
So
The part with the music, yeah.
Anyway, I end up playing Super Battleship more often than regular Battleship when I play this game, because I have regular Battleship that I can play another version of the game, like, out there, whereas this version of the game is like, unique to the Super NES Genesis version of the game. So I think it's not super long. I mean, like, there's a playthrough online where somebody was able to get through all 16 missions.
Jeez.
About like 4 hours, like 4 hours of gameplay. So,
Wow.
but it will keep you going for a while. Like I said, the challenge ramps up very well, I thought. Some of the missions are very difficult. Having the house features is a very nice touch. So appreciate that. But yeah, so Super Battleship was not what I expected when I first played this version of the game, because I'm like, why are they calling it Super Battleship? But
because there's a super mode.
Yeah, there is, and I personally think it's pretty good. If you never played this version of the game, I think it's worth checking out, because it's like it's pretty unique take of Battleship. It captures the essence of the game, I thought, with adding in some strategy and a real-time action sequences to it.
Yeah.
So, Ferg, what do you think about the version of the game?
Well, like I said before, I'm sorry I picked this one because I didn't like the actual version. I like the original version. I mean, the original Battleship version better than the enhanced gameplay.
Could you do a marathon on it?
Of the original one?
Yes.
I don't know if I could do a marathon on it. I like playing it for what it was.
I'm just playing SNES Battleship for 24 hours.
No, I could not do that.
After 2 hours, you're just laying there. He's like, that's it, I'm done. And it's just you sleeping on the floor.
I mean, those are, it's just the types of games that I like and don't like. So that's the kind of game that I don't, I don't have a lot of patience for that, unfortunately. And I had no idea that's what the game was when I said, oh, let's do board games, because those are all cool, right? So
board games are cool, right? Who's saying this?
The one
who's saying this in this day and age? Board games are cool, right?
Hey, board games are good.
I'm sorry, go on.
But I do want to try the NES version. I didn't realize there was an NES version of it too. That's more of a traditional type of Battleship game.
I would think it would have to be.
Yeah. But they're both Mindscape. They both came around the same time, so.
Yeah. The main drawback of the NES version of the game, like I said, the game screen's not as big. So,
right.
So the resolution is not quite as good. It's a little bit harder to see things like in that version of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's perfectly serviceable.
So you have played the NES version?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. Like I said before, I think the Super NES version of the game, regular Battleship, is preferable both because of the graphics and also because of the AI puts up a harder fight.
Yeah.
Because the AI in this version of the game is very ruthless, like we said before. But yeah. Well, Ferg's not a big strategy game fan anyway to begin with.
I'm not.
So I understand you not really care the Super Battleship version of the game too much.
Yeah, at first I was like, "Ooh, this looks like Rampart. That'll be fun." But then it was not like Rampart. It's like, no, I don't want to play this anymore.
Actually, it is kind of like Rampart.
I mean, just
the ship combat's a little bit like
the
that.
Ship, yeah. But
I really appreciate the mix of strategy, strategy and action parts in that game, because it's a good mix. I thought it kind of
shooting things was fun.
Yeah,
it keeps the game fresh. But plus the campaigns, the different missions were very varied and different, unique. So, but
how do you make a video game fun? You put a gun in it.
Or 16-inch guns. So bigger guns are better.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, George, since you were your first time playing this version of the game, what do you think of both versions of the game?
I thought the new Super Battleship thingy-mabobber mode was actually pretty cool. What? That's a technical term, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. I thought it was pretty cool, and it was actually kind of original. That was fun to play, oh, I'm within range of the ship, now I can actually shoot it with, torpedoes and stuff. That was really cool, and then, you play the original Battleship, and it's like, yeah, this is a Battleship, and it works, and the AI is weird, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, what else can you say about Battleship?
How far did you get in Super Battleship?
I only played a few missions.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the missions get very challenging. toward the end. And some of the missions are actually based upon real life events too.
Is there not a multiplayer mode for that? Like,
No, there isn't, unfortunately.
oh, there should have been, because like that would have been great. Doing a strategy version of Battleship against somebody.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why there isn't. In some ways, this game reminds me a lot of Super Conflict, which I covered before in the past episode of the podcast. That game is multiplayer, but because that game's also a tactical strategy war game where we buy military units, like both land, sea, and air, and actually using them in combat against the other player. So it's and you take into account okay, this kind of tank is effective against this kind of target and whatnot. So in some ways, this game just kind of reminded me about that. So if you like this game, Super Conflict also has more gameplay like that.
All right.
But yeah, so I think that like I said before, I appreciate the fact that they came out. Like somebody said, I can't remember who said it, but I apologize. I appreciate the fact that one version of the game alone wasn't going to be enough to sell the cards.
Yeah.
Having both the original version of the game and okay.
Just want to let you know.
Yeah. Having both the original version of the game and also an also inspired version of the game on here, worked. It was a very nice combination. So, but yeah, I'm only sorry that Risk didn't come out with Super NES because that version of the game quite, looked like quite good.
Yeah.
But
I guess you guys both played Risk when you were kids, right? Or do you play it now?
Yeah.
I haven't played it since I
have
was
not
a
played
kid.
Risk as a kid.
Yeah, I don't remember how to play it.
I played it once or something before, so.
Risk is pretty easy to pick up and play, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not very much to it. So, but yeah, it's a fun game, for sure. And that game's also available in modern versions and modern flavors. So, but
I like vanilla.
So, like the other games, this game is plentiful and cheap, like on eBay. There are 104 copies currently listed. 62 copies currently sold. Card only ranging anywhere from $325 to $8, and CIB ranges from $18 to $20.
That's not bad.
So, yeah, all three of these games, even one CIB, can be had for pretty. You can be had for pretty cheap price.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all in all, I think all three of these are very good conversions to board games. Maybe not the best version of the game out there, but they're all very solid versions of the game.
Yeah.
That none of them are really unique to the Super NES. None of them really take advantage of anything special the system could do because of the fact that they're ported to multiple systems and whatnot. But yeah, if you don't have anybody to play the game against, all three of these, all three versions of these games will put up a pretty good show a pretty good hard fight against you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
before we go on to the next thing, can I give the 2600 update that I just learned about with these games?
sure.
So apparently,
right ahead.
Battleship, after Brad Stewart, who did Breakout and Asteroids, after he did Breakout, he started working on a port of Battleship for the 2600. But I don't know whatever became of that. He went on to do Asteroids right after that. So I don't know if they put him on that and took him off Battleship. I don't know whatever happened to that. Clue apparently was going to be done by Western Technologies for the Androbot company, which was, I think, Nolan Bushnell's company in the 80s after he left Atari, if I'm not mistaken. And then Monopoly, there was a demo of Monopoly by a guy named John Gates for Parker Brothers. All it was a picture of the train icon, which you could change colors of. But
very good tech demo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's a red train.
That's all it had to be because like I said, I can't see the pre-crash systems being able to handle these games because because the limited card size and hardware available to them. But,
there was on the 800 I was looking. There was a version of Monopoly, but it was basically like a text-based version. I mean, it looked pretty cool.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And the background, Monopoly. There's stripes on the top and bottom of the screen that would change to the color that the property was when you landed on it.
Right.
It's pretty cool though.
No, I hadn't.
Sounds weird.
I had a version of Monopoly with like the IBM way back in the late '80s that was also like text based. Well, there was a very primitive ASCII drawn out picture of the board. That was pretty
I
much.
think I played that
But,
version back then. I think I did.
Yeah.
ASCII Monopoly.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, the fact that you even tried to do Risk 5200 was pretty impressive. There's a so there's right up available about that version of the game on Tempest's great Atari Proto website.
Of which? I'm sorry.
And Risk 5200.
Oh yeah.
It didn't get very far,
No.
but it looks like the very fact that even trying to do it for that system is like pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Because I think out of all those games, Risk is probably the one that actually could be pulled off on the system because apparently before the project got canceled, Tempest did say that the prototype version that we reviewed on there, like, it was playable. It actually did play all the way through the game, so they were able to pull it off somehow.
Oh, okay. I thought it wasn't finished.
It wasn't finished, but it was playable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like he played it. Yeah, he was able to play a whole game. The board never got done, so it's like all you're looking at on that version of the game is like numbers like all over the screen because like the numbers reflect how many armies are present like each territory.
Oh yeah, I see it now. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So the map never got done.
Yeah.
So a little bit hard to play, but apparently. And no telling how good the AI was, but I don't even know that version of the game was flexible to have AI. They may be planning to leave that out, just leave that human players only.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Human players only.
Yeah.
And that's actually the
So-
800 or 8-bit. The 5200 version wasn't started. I imagine they probably would have just ported it over. That's what they were doing back then.
All right, yeah.
Very cool.
So, but anyway, so all three of these board games are still very popular today, and and like I said before, they're all available like in a console forms. One of the game also I was surprised that I loved as a kid that I was kind of surprised didn't come out like with the 8-bit or 16-bit systems, which I think it could have been pulled off like Risk was. There was no home version of Life.
Ah.
The PlayStation version was the first one to come out. Come out for that.
Right.
As far as the consoles go, again, computers already had the game, but the first console version of Life was for the PlayStation. So, and, yeah, again, because I'm a little bit surprised by that, because the system could have pulled it off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It's
Probably would have had a scrolling board again, but that that would have been fine.
It's been so long since I played any of these games, actual board games.
No, I have Life on Steam. I play it every now and
Oh,
then. It's a
dude.
good version of the game.
Oh, okay.
Wait, there's
Yeah.
Life on Steam?
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah, Life's also a game. Yeah, Life's also a game that Clue has been that Clue and Monopoly was updated to present times. Some of the occupations have changed. The salaries have all been increased.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Some of the game spots are different. So, but
And there's no retirement now.
no, it's no retirement. But
Oh, I wanted to ask you,
but,
Greg, when you were looking on eBay, I think all three of these games were re-released by Majesco later on. Was there any difference in the price that you noticed, or did you not even... they probably don't even... With these games, they probably wouldn't even notice which version it was.
yeah, they were all lumped together.
Okay,
So
yeah.
right. So, but yeah, just I mean, these games are not in high demand.
No.
So that's why they're available for cheap.
Yep.
But yeah, so I was a little bit surprised to see that. Surprised to see these games like re-released. I guess just Jessica figured that they could make some easy money off of it.
Yeah, probably.
So anyway, that's the board games. It might be so. so it might be fun to have you back at some point to cover the the game show conversions.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Oh boy.
The answer
Yeah,
is. The answer is. The answer is. Yeah. Over. Oh my god.
Well,
Oh boy.
Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud are quite good on Super NES, I think.
Isn't there? There's a bunch of Jeopardies though, right? I think there's like a.
Yeah, like the NES, there's a bunch of, the Super NES had like several Jeopardies come out for it, and Jeopardies are okay. Just the nature of the game makes it harder to play.
Yeah, there's only so many questions you can fit.
Right, but yeah, Wheel of Fortune, Family Feud. I spent a lot of time with it as a kid, and those versions of the games are quite good.
Okay, are those the only three?
There may be others. Those are the only two. Those are the only three I remember playing like right off the top of my head.
Okay.
Because by the time Super NES was out, early mid '90s, game shows were falling out of favor.
That's true. Yeah.
There weren't as many available then. So, those three are the big three that are still around today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's true too. Actually. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll have to check to see. Like, it's possible. It's possible there may be there may be a couple others. Because I'm trying to think what else was around back then. This is before like Deal or No Deal, or like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or anything else like that.
Yeah,
so,
and after Remote Control, which is on the NES.
Yep. Right. Yep. Card Sharks like was available on the NES,
God.
but that was gone by then.
I'm looking at a list here. I don't see any others besides
You're
those
starting
three.
to list game shows I have no idea about.
Oh, yeah, these like 80s, like the 80s, like game shows. I used to love Pressure Luck as a kid. That was a fun
No
game.
whammies.
Yep. The infamous whammy.
Yeah.
So.
Poor George.
I like when somebody learned how to game the system on that one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a great read.
I love that.
So, but anyway, final thoughts. I think I pretty much already said mine. Pretty good versions of like the board games. Especially recommended. Just like you want somebody to, especially recommended if you don't have anybody to play against, and you just want like a good challenge against the computer. Just the 8-bit versions of the games are fine too, but I just think the Super NES just has a few more options and a few more graphical fidelity to you, like to care about that. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think if you just want to play a straight game of Monopoly by yourself, it's a great version for that. And Clue 2. If you want to branch out with Cluedo, yeah. If you want to branch out with Battleship, that'd be my guess, but I would stick to the original version.
Whoa.
No bells and whistles at all, just plain old one-player Battleship.
Well, why would the ship have bells and whistles?
Because it's a fancy ship.
I wouldn't want to whistle on my ship.
Okay. Ferg, as always, we very much appreciate you being on the podcast with us.
Yes, I had fun.
As always.
Thank you.
It was fun.
So,
Yes, it was.
Hope to have you back again at some point.
Yeah, we'll do the game shows. That'll be fun.
Oh boy.
I do have Jeopardy. I don't have the other two.
All right.
One of the
I'm sure those versions
Jeopardies.
of the games are pretty cheap too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I'm sure they are.
So, what podcast are you currently doing or have been doing as of recently, or that kind of stuff that you wish to plug?
Well, I'm doing the Atari 2600 Game by Game podcast. Please stand by. Those are pretty much the two that I'm doing most regularly. We're still doing Atari Visions, but everybody's busy, and I've been falling behind on doing the notes, so we're getting to that.
Yeah.
And then we also do, I think we only did 3 episodes of the League of Extraordinary Podcasters in a year, and that's getting 6 people together over Skype, which is difficult. So.
That does sound pretty difficult.
Yeah, it is. We even have a calendar, and we still can't get us all together in one room at once. So,
Jeez.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. George, how about you?
Oh boy, I do a few podcasts myself.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. It's interesting how you ask. You were on one of my podcasts somewhat recently.
I was.
And it was really fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was the Box Fort, which is not family friendly, but we sit down and just talk about whatever, and the conversation just goes. Tons of fun. Greg and I also do PlayStation Power, where we cover PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games. That is not family friendly. And then I also do Master System Masterpieces, where we cover Master System games, and that one's really interesting because we just find these games out of nowhere. It's like, huh, this game's just really out there.
Have you done Monopoly?
We have not.
Oh, okay.
We should do that.
Yeah, it's actually very close to the NES Super NES versions.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's a very good version of the game too. So
I would hope so. I would have to play it eventually.
right.
Playing a bad game is not very fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. But yeah. So anyway, we very much appreciate you tuning into the podcast as always. Please feel free to check us out on our Facebook page. Like us on there, make a post, whatever. You can also email me directly at the SNES podcast at yahoo.com. We are a proud member of both the Throwback Network and Retro Junkies, where you can check out a whole bunch of other retro-themed podcasts, both gaming and non-gaming related. And please give us a like and review on iTunes. That's also very much appreciated. And next time on the podcast, we're not sure what we're doing yet because George and I forgot to talk about this beforehand.
I think it's your turn to choose, though, isn't it?
Technically, I'm using my spots to have Ferg on here.
Don't use techniques. Don't use technicalities.
Did you do Phalanx?
So.
Did
What?
you do Phalanx already?
Oh no, we haven't covered that yet.
Is that the weird,
I don't.
the weird banjo guy one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's failing.
But it's actually a very good shoot. But it's actually a very good horizontal space shooter.
As you can tell from the box art.
Oh yeah. You play as the guy with the
But,
banjo.
I just remember seeing that when I worked at KP. I was like, why is there a banjo?
Yeah. It's just so odd.
Yeah, it is up there with Mega Man 1 and 2 and their Guardian Legend for the NES as being some of the strangest, baddest box cover artwork out there.
Yeah.
So, actually, that's not a bad suggestion. George, you down for doing that next?
Sure.
I win!
All right.
Yay!
Yay! What do you win? Nothing!
I win a podcast about Phalanx. That's what I win.
Right.
Oh, there you go. I don't have an old man with a banjo, so I can't really do much of that.
I'm looking forward to doing the research on that to figure out what the heck the story behind the story is behind that cover.
I'm sure they put it there so people could buy it and figure out what the game was about.
Something
Genius
like that,
marketing.
Yeah, who even published the game? I don't even know, but
Banjo
so-
Man
They used
2000.
It wasn't a big company. I don't think it was a small publisher.
Are we
so-
doing this now?
No, but I was just saying out loud.
Okay.
Because I played this game as a kid. I've not played it in many years. So
When does
curiously,
this
Here's how it
podcast
holds
end?
up.
Zoom Incorporated
Yeah, there we go.
Zoom, Okay.
company.
and Chemco.
Yeah,
Oh,
Chemco published it. Okay, yep.
Alright.
Chemco. Yeah, Chemco. I'm quite not familiar with. So, but cool. All right. Alrighty then. Thanks to Ferg for coming up to play our next episode too.
I'm here to please.
We will turn into old men. Well, I mean, Greg's already there. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, but for once, I'm not the old man of this
that's
podcast.
true. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
It's me.
Oh.
So, alrighty, we should probably end this before anything else like weird strange happens. Ferg, thank you again very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Like fun as always. George, thank you again for. Thank you again also for coming on.
Yep.
And I will talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Boom, boom.
Take care, all.
Boom boom.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man.